Welcome to the Pmbc meeting for September 25th, 2024. We'll start the meeting with a warrant. We don't have a warrant. Approve the meeting minutes from 9/11. I sent those out with my edits. Are there any comments? Is there a motion to approve?
Steve, I had a question.
Yeah.
The minutes were good. Since I'm new, everything was very helpful just to see what was going on. And it looked like your edits, you were sort of deleting a lot of the details. And, just not being familiar with the projects, the details were helpful to me at least. And I just wondered why, it just seemed like some of that information was kind of good stuff.
A lot of it was maybe, just not relevant to the overall theme of the meeting. It gets a little bit wordy. Marilyn is a stenographer, and she takes down every single word. So it gets very wordy. If you look at meeting minutes from other groups, they'll just say reviewed presentation, period. Something like that. So I'm trying to make it as informative, but somewhat brief. Because it gets sometimes it gets a little wordy and confusing and redundant.
Okay.
So that's why I do the edits.
Okay.
So, I mean, I send the edits out. Everyone can take a look at them. If they disagree with them, feel free to, challenge me. So,
Okay.
Any other comments? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Bartlett?
Bartlett, yes.
Stacy?
Stacy, yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Mike?
Mike Scaduto, yes.
And Steve Moore, yes. So we'll move over to Shaker Lane. Stacy, want to give us an update?
Yep, we had a meeting last week on the 18th with Studio G and TTH. What we were working on was just the design progress on the PSR, as well as I think probably the biggest takeaway was that we were working on establishing a subcommittee for community outreach program, which we voted that Kelly Clenchy, I believe Michelle Kane, Ryan Ferreira, another school committee member, we're going to be a part of that committee to focus on making sure that we have a lot of community input and a lot of community education for this project. It's probably one of the biggest projects this town will have. We're going to need a lot of community input on that and a lot of community involvement. So our next meeting is going to be, let me just look at my calendar real quick. It's going to be next Tuesday, I believe. I just had it up.
Next Wednesday, the 2nd.
Next Wednesday.
The 2nd, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here we have, next Monday. So we'll be working on, I think, I'm looking at the agenda here. We're voting a new chair, and then we're still getting more updates on the PSR and budgets.
So yeah, I think next Tuesday or Wednesday's meeting is kind of a strategy meeting, planning for the joint meetings with the select board, the select board, school board, and the finance committee, right?
Yep.
All right. Going down to the senior center, Brian, you want to give us an update?
Yeah, quick update. And to answer Tim, nice to meet you. As it pertains to lot of the details. On the first meeting of the month that we have for PMBC, we usually share our monthly reports for both of the projects that we're working on, both Senior Center and King Street renovations. So we'll distribute those to the entire PMBC. Hopefully that can kind of catch you up to where you are, and feel free to ask any questions you've got about either of those projects. We can get into as much detail as you want. You're also invited to our weekly meetings that we have. Those can sometimes be a little boring, but you know, we go through the real nitty gritty on those on a weekly basis on Wednesdays. So
Hey, Brian, do you have Eric's email?
Eric.
Eric Durba?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, make sure you include him on that distribution.
Definitely.
Okay,
Definitely.
thanks.
So are those weekly meetings, those are the construction meetings on?
Correct. Yep, we provide a hybrid link. Bartlett likes to join on those when he can, and so we have a large screen in the conference area that we can beam in people that aren't able to attend in person. So like I said, we don't have our monthly report, and we don't have any change orders to present to the committee tonight. But from the last time we spoke, we're moving right ahead. We had a blower door test today to check the envelope and the tightness of the building. We actually passed that with flying colors. We were done the test before lunchtime, so that's real encouraging news with that. We will have a final test once doors and hardware and finishes are in the building in order to satisfy code, but we were exceeding those results already now that our envelope is tied in. Our masonry is ongoing, as well as our site contractor doing site infiltration between the Senior Center and the library. In that area, there's going to be the subsurface infiltration that's going in. We're coordinating with our commissioning agent for the HVAC scope of the portion. We had a meeting with him to go over some of the pre-functional checklists before the equipment gets on site. Security is being coordinated for our access control and camera systems that will be installed as drywall is going up. We also had a visit. I reached out to the committee a couple weeks ago. Last week, we had a visit from the Inspector General. They took a field trip out to our project just to kind of see how CM at risk projects are going. We provided them some feedback. I think this is the first project that they actually went to. All went well. I think that they were really encouraged with how Littleton runs their business and how this project has gone thus far. So we really didn't have any bad feedback, and they took all of our feedback that we gave, and we're really encouraged by that. So we'll let them find a bad project somewhere else. But they were happy for their visit.
So I think Bob Robinley was there as well, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Yep. For the next couple of weeks before we have our next meeting, elevators should be mobilized on site. The siding and the drywall will be delivered within this week, so you guys will start to see some of the changes on the exterior of the building. Like we said, site work has been mobilized, and right now we're still tracking for a substantial completion date of the 11th of March, and that does not count for any final paving and striping, as well as any associated plantings as we see what the weather is going to be. We've also asked about a stakeholder walkthrough for some of the town and possibly the PMBC to do a walkthrough of the building. We are, Commodore's requested if we just wait until the interior stairs are installed. Those are scheduled to be done in the next couple weeks. So we'll be in touch about a possible walkthrough probably towards the end of one of the working days when Commodore's still on site, but some of the trades are off site, so that we can provide a walkthrough to show some of the people the inside of the building, as that's not been visible for quite some time.
So will the interior treads be poured, or will they just be infilled?
Yeah, they're a pan stair, so that the plan is to be installed and then poured, and then the temporary railings. If the railings aren't part of the system, then temporary railings will be put up to provide as much safety as we can.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. The two things I did want to bring to the committee tonight are two amendments, not to Commodore's side, but to the design side, and I can explain them, one of which, and I can pull them up if you'd like. I'll give a quick explanation. The first is something we knew we were always going to have to do, and that is at 31 Shattuck that we use our construction house right now. We knew that this project was going to need to accommodate, because of the project is taking out the septic system out back as part of the new footprint of the building. We coordinated with Littleton Water that we would be doing a tie-in to the new force main that's out in Shattuck Street. exploring down in the basement of the residence. We had the old cast iron piping that's leaving the house in the rear. We need to have the engineer to have it take a look at that, repipe that to have it come out the front of the building to where our civil engineer is going to pick it up from there and do the tie-in to the new force main on Shattuck. The other portion of this is also due to the boundary of the senior center. It encroached on the old existing driveway of 31 Shattuck. So the civil engineer is going to put a plan together for a small driveway for this residence, with the intention that when we're done with the project, we hand this back over to the town, and then it's their purview what they'd like to do. The town would be operating with fully functioning water and sewer, as well as a parking space, if the intention is to resell it at that point. That amendment is $8,250. I will say we have the soft cost contingency for this, as well as an allowance within the guaranteed maximum price of Commodore to perform the work. 2,500 of that is for the plumbing engineer. 2,500 of that is for the civil work out in the front yard, as well as the tie-in, and the other 2,500 is for the drawings for the new proposed driveway. And then the markup for administration from all three parties to actually come out and inspect as this work is going on. So that's the First Amendment.
So
The Second
those are
Amendment,
all fixed price
that's correct.
proposals?
Yep.
Okay. And you're recommending approval of that?
That's correct. Yes. I actually met with both engineers on site today and walked it with them. They both have a good understanding of the scope. A question I did have, I wanted to make sure that the old cast iron piping, if we can go to PVC, as it's going to be a residential purposes at this point, and that will cut costs as well about the actual piping that needs to be done getting it out of the house. So that was relayed to the engineer and understood.
Brian, question. Is this to plan and design the work or to actually execute the work?
This is to plan and design the work. Yep. And so the actual execution of the work is something that we knew was going to need to happen. And we worked with Commodore knowing that we didn't have anything on paper yet, but we held an allowance inside their guaranteed maximum price in order to perform this work. If anything exceeds that amount, it would be coming out of the GMP contingencies that we have. And if it's lower than that amount, obviously the town would be entitled for reimbursement on that money. The Second Amendment is a small amendment for $1,815. This is actually, it's been a little delayed in getting to me. Been asking for, but it is for the relocation of the elevator machine room. Drawings went out, bid on, we got our guaranteed maximum price. During the coordination period with the subs, it was deemed that the elevator machine room needed to relocate on the basement floor from one area to the other. The engineers had put in an invoice to the designer such that the mechanicals that needed to be relocated in order to put it on this part of the building. It was determined that it was for the best interest of the town to put it here. And for the small amount of fee that we have here with the size of the soft cost contingency we have, we are recommending that as well. And this one I will share my screen. We can see that this is the Amendment 11 for 1815. And not to move too fast, I will skip quickly over to our vendor invoice packet, which we sent. This is our previous one that was already approved, but this is something that would be coming out of our owner's project contingency, which we have yet to spend anything out of. So,
hey Brian, we can't see your screen.
Oh, you can't?
No.
No. Okay. 1 second.
Just black.
I can see it.
I can see
I can
it.
see it.
Really?
Is the budget page up?
Yes, it is, Steve. It might be something specific to Steve.
Okay.
No doubt.
Well, to verbalize it, Steve, in our owner's project contingency, which actually is outside of our construction contingency, we're holding over 150 grand right now, which we haven't tapped into. And both of these amendments would be coming out of that kitty. So for a total of just under $11,000, we would be recommending both of these amendments to LLB for the design work for this work. The only other thing I had for the PMBC regarding senior center, the director has also been giving us updates on any potential friends of the COA that are providing any the foundation and grants. Is that coming? We're making sure that we're coordinating with that. If there's going to be any recognition or signage that needs to be incorporated into the building. So we're putting out our furniture package within the next month. That'll be ordered to make sure that it's on site, hitting the window when the contractor's done. Yeah, we don't want it waiting around for the furniture at the right time. So we'll have that on site in March, and the signage package and recognition and donor packages will be will hopefully be wrapped up by that point as well.
So Brian, do you need us to vote on those two items?
That's correct. So it'd be proposed amendment 10 and 11 for a total of excuse me, it would be $11,065.
Can you put that in a motion format with the dollar amount for each one?
Me?
Yeah.
Sure. Yes, we're looking for a motion to approve LLB amendment 10 and 11 for the total amount of $11,065 for design services for the senior center.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Seconded.
Okay. Roll call vote. Tim?
Tim Harvey, yes.
Bartlett?
Bartlett Harvey, yes.
Stacy?
Stacy, yes.
Mike?
Mike Scaduto, yes.
Steve Moore, yes. Okay, thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any questions on senior center?
Yeah, I have a question for Brian. I thought I understood this morning or earlier this afternoon about the blower door test, that the test actually exceeded the passive house standard, and I was wondering if I understood correctly, and is there a CFM figure that associated with that?
Yes, I don't have those specific figures, Bartlett. But when a project is going for either passive house certification or LEED certification, there are specific thresholds that they need to hit.
Yep.
But there's also standard code that needs to be hit now through the stretch code with that envelope testing. So it was exceeding not only the state's regulations, but even the higher thresholds that we have. I'm waiting for the report of this so that I can actually get the CFMs and I can have that provided to you.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Brian, are the doors and windows in place?
The windows are in place and sealed. The exterior doors are not in place. Those were blocked up and sealed artificially.
Got it.
Okay, anything else on senior center?
Yes, Brian Kirby asking here. Did Mark Corey reach out to you for blueprints?
Yes.
Good, thank you.
Got those this afternoon. I'll get them over to Mark probably tonight.
Thank you, sir. Second thing is the elevator reload. Is that anywhere near where our gear is going to be for broadcasting, sir?
No.
Thank you very much. That's all I was looking for.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, anything else on senior center? Okay, we'll move over to Indian Hill. Brian?
Yeah, I can. I'll make this quick. King Street's moving right along. Like we said at our previous meeting, a lot of the unknowns and unforeseens and sins from previous years have hopefully been identified. We do have one large ask that we want to have the PMBC aware of and vote on their approval for it. And I think with Eric here as well, he's been instrumental in helping us with, dealing with a building that has a lot of issues with, knowing that we were going to find problems and helping us find solutions to it. So from a construction standpoint, most of the demo is complete. We've prepped the entire exterior The roof is 99% complete with some installation of a skylight that still needs to go in and some solar tube. The exterior siding has been cleaned and prepped and replaced any rot, as well as all sealed around all of the joints and windows. The paint will start installation next week so that we can make sure paint is being applied in weather that it needs to be. The electrical has been mobilized for down in the basement. The framing has gone on down in the basement for the Parks and Rec department. And so we're moving right along with the flooring sub was on site today. That was also a good sign, so we can discuss some of the LVT and carpeting and new flooring refinishing that's going to be going in that area. As of last meeting, we did do our large bulk of the change orders that we voted on to approve. I do have the PCO log for us to review, and I have just kind of one item on there, and I will pull that up. But to verbalize it, with help with Eric, when we had the building, the fire protection system had been drained down. We knew that there was a compressor that was trying to help supplement some of the pressure throughout the building. When it was pumped back up and actually filled with water, it was determined that a lot of the fire protection mains that are in the first floor have a lot of defects in them. A lot of the Vitalic fittings are starting to rot out, a lot of corrosion, and we're seeing drips coming from the old sprinkler piping. We did have the sprinkler contractor on site who has a very minimal scope of work for this original project. They have some additional heads they need to add, but their scope did not encroach upon the system as a whole. We used their kind of expert opinion to see what they thought on this. And in working with Eric as well, the opinion is to replace the main that we have on the first floor. Make sure that that is replaced and functioning properly, being able to pump the system back up to pressure. We still have the compressor in case we have any minor leaks that would be in these branch systems, but it's going to be something for the benefit of the building, and it's not going to allow any drips or residual water to drip down onto finished ceilings or anything that we're doing new in the building. So and Eric, is there anything that you wanted to share?
Brian,
To your meeting?
just for the benefit of the rest of the committee here, it's a dry system, but there is some moisture in the piping, right?
Correct.
Correct. So, like Steve was saying, since it is a dry system, but when you compress the air, there's some moisture that goes into there. And because the system is dry with a little bit of moisture in there, it actually corrodes a lot more than if it was completely full of water. So in this case, the main, which is the lowest point or the place where the condensation would collect the most, is pretty substantially rotted. So the contractor advised that we replace a significant part of that, and hopefully by doing that we would, minimize most of the leaks, and then the air compressor would just supplement the branch leaks and we would, go on from there, and the system should operate as normal, but there's no guarantee.
Thank you. So in meeting with the foreman of Excel Fire Protection, what they are recommending, and this would be over the supervision of us, Vertex, as well as the general contractor, is $40,000, which is about 2 to 3 weeks of work. And what that would allow them to do is to replace the main on that first floor and replace it in kind with new piping. However, the response that I got from the contractor is the hope is that it would not cost anywhere near this, but this is to make sure that they're able to get all of it done on this on a not to exceed basis. We would be tracking their manpower as well as the time that they're on site, as well as all of the materials that would be going into this area that has the old piping in it. I also requested from the general contractor that we have, if not daily, every other day, updates on the amount of labor that has been spent and the amount of progress that's being made, so that in the event that we feel as though this isn't going well, or if we need to pull the plug quicker on this and take a timeout so that we can evaluate the system as a whole, that we're not spending this entire amount of money on this. So this was the number set by the sprinkler contractor with his estimate on the amount of time it would take to replace the mains. And we are recommending it after speaking through it with Ryan, the assistant town administrator, as well as Eric out in the field. We do have our site manager who is overseeing the senior center as well as King Street. He goes down on a daily visit every day. And one of his orders of business would be checking in with this contractor every day to get a list of materials as well as the time spent on this specific task. I do want to take.
Will the new piping be Victaulic or will it be cast iron?
So I believe, Eric, that would be being replaced in kind.
Yeah, it would be being replaced in kind. If it would going to be fully replaced as a whole new system, I think we discussed the new system would be galvanized, but in this case, we don't really want to mix metal and we're just replacing it for what it is.
So to give a quick cliff notes on where we were last Pmbc meeting, we approved just over $72,000 worth of change orders out of our original $218,000 construction contingency. With the approval of this $40,000, it would still have $105,000 remaining in our contingency, to which I want to make sure that the Pmbc is aware of things that we're tracking. We do have an HVAC unit up in the attic that is existing to remain and is currently working. However, we did have a third-party mechanical contractor to take a look at it, understanding towards its end of use and end of life. And we're going to at least get some quotes to see what that would take to replace it. This is an air handler that serves the lobby on the first floor. And through the analysis of all the units in the building, this is the one that was identified that probably would need to be replaced first. So we're going to at least track this down and something to bring to the committee after that. The other variable is going to be our security and low voltage. These are numbers that we do have carried in our budget. We're working with Nancy Glencross in the IT department. But we don't know what these numbers are going to be fully yet because the scope has changed for good and bad on certain areas where we found some wire that is not the correct wire. Nancy would like it to see it as a Cat 6 cabling rather than a Cat 5. So we'll be doing some replacements there, as well as some upgrades to a security system, which would include some minimal access control for both staffs to get into the first and second floors and their appropriate department areas. The last variable that we are tracking right now was a request regarding the downstairs children's area for Parks and Rec and the possibility of including a bathroom down there. There is framing that's going to be in an area for a future bathroom. We have requested that a design be put together so that we could get a price for what it would cost to have a dedicated bathroom down in the children's area, down on the basement floor, so that the children aren't having to come up to the first floor meeting room area in order to access the bathrooms there. We did do some exploratory work to see where the septic sewer piping exits the building and how it would be, how a bathroom would work in the basement. There would need to be some sort of an emulsifying pump that would come out of the toilet and sink fixtures and pumped up to 7 feet to get to the lowest point that we have in that area in order to discharge it out of the building. So as I see it, those are pretty much the four large drivers that we have right now for the project. And we're keeping a keen eye on here on the contingency about making those decisions and recommending them to the Pmbc. What we do have, and I can try to stop my share to do the same exercise that I had done for the senior center. I have the King Street vendor invoice packet that we have here. Here's our contingency of the 218. We've just spent the 72,000, We also have some owner's project contingency that we'd be able to use for some of these funds with a recommendation from PMBC. And this shows just about 700 grand that we have total that has not been appropriated to anybody yet. But there are placeholders for things like furniture, computers and technology that we're going to need for servers and racks and switches. So these are some of the numbers that we have in place, but we don't have anything actually committed to it yet. So for just tonight, we're making a recommendation to proceed with the fire protection contractor to be with full review from Vertex. I don't anticipate them being complete by the next PMBC meeting, but we would at least give you an update on where we are with that not to exceed number and what we foresee them being, any underage or overage from that number.
Well, there won't be an overage because it's not to exceed, right?
Correct. If I meant by overage, I mean if they complete the work and we determine that the branch piping is not in great shape, but can still be used based on the compressor that we have down in the mechanical room. Yeah, there would not be any overages on the not to exceed number. No.
Right. Can you stop sharing? So I can't see anything on my screen. So. Any other discussions or comments on the proposal?
Yeah, question, Brian. So are you saying that you know the branch and distribution piping on the fire protection has some leaks, but you'll just run the air compressor to keep the system pressurized? I mean, I'm just wondering if that's like how much compressor running is that,
So to be clear, I don't think we really know the extent of on whether there's a lot of leaking in these branch piping. We do know that all the branch piping is back pitched to the mains where all of the moisture would be fed into and where it sits in, and where when the testing was done, the majority of leaks, I believe, and Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, we found around 10 or 12 leaks that were based directly in this main here. And I believe the concern was, well, if we fix the main leaks and we pump it up and that's not going to leak anymore, is it going to push the pressure out to these branches and therefore create more leaks in these branch piping? The hope is with the smaller branches that the leaks, if there are any, are minimal and can be accommodated by this compressor that's existing on here on the system.
Okay.
Yeah, but we won't know until we do the branch. Yeah. So is there a motion to approve the not to exceed $40,000 to replace the branch piping as identified by Vertex?
It should be a motion to replace the main pipe, isn't it, instead of the branches?
Correct.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the 40,000 not to exceed to replace the main
Second.
pipe in the fire protection.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Bartlett.
Bartlett, yes.
Stacy. Mike.
Stacy, yes.
Mike Scaduto, yes.
Tim
Harvey, yes.
and Steve Moore, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or updates on the Indian Hill?
I have a question. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of extra work monitoring this fire protection work, extra work for Vertex, and I was wondering if that's going to change the Vertex billing.
Great. No, that's going to be part of our activities that we have here. One of the benefits of having us down the street full time, we've worked out an agreement where, Doug goes down there for, I have him scheduled for about 8 hours a week down on King Street.
Okay. All right.
But he's been doing a good job on checking in with the senior center in the morning while people are getting mobilized, going down to King Street, checking in on the activity that's going on there.
Okay.
actually we'll be working with him too to make sure that we get the process going of check in with the contractor. We're not standing over them watching them do it, but at the same time, we're getting there in the morning, we're checking in at lunch, we're coming in towards the end, we're taking pictures and seeing the amount that's being done and documenting it.
Yeah, I will, this is Eric, by the way, facilities manager. I'm also checking in with Doug daily, almost daily at King Street also, and we're monitoring the work as well. So we're kind of working together with Vertex on all these.
Great, thank you.
Okay, now we'll move down to the police station. I inaccurately put Brian down here, but I'll give the update. Brian Ferrara sent a contract out to the waterproofing company last Friday to do some testing of the masonry and the envelope of the building for moisture infiltration. I haven't seen anything come back, so I don't know when the work is scheduled to start, but it would probably be in the next couple of weeks. So the next item is member input. Bartlett, anything?
No, I'm all set, thanks.
Tim?
No, sorry, I'm just getting up to speed.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Thanks.
Stacy?
All set.
Mike?
All set.
I'm all set also. The next meeting is scheduled for the 9th. Appreciate your participation and see you next month. Have a good evening.
Motion to adjourn.
Bye-bye.
Motion- Second,
Oh, yeah, sorry. All in favor, Bartlett,
yes,
Mike,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
and Steve. I see Stacy is left. Steve, yes. So that's a quorum. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.